and welcome to another marvelous video. The DC universe is a prominent place full of big worlds and enormous challenges. While most comics focus on issues that affect the Earth and the sector of space in which it's located, there are 3,599 different space sectors with their own superheroes, villains, and world-shattering events. The Green Lantern Corps is an organization in charge of guarding the 3,600 space sectors and policing the populace. The Green Lantern Corps is a noble legacy that has lasted for ages in the DC universe, although it is just a few decades old on Earth. There are now 7,204 Green Lanterns in DC Comics, with just 8 of those being human. Today, we're going to explore the origin stories of these human Green Lanterns, starting chronologically. Before we get into our explanation though, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Same thing that happens to you if he paints it yellow.
Was that some kind of crack, old man?
If there ain't
Alan Scott. Starting the list with an honorable mention. Alan Scott was the original Green Lantern from the Golden Age of comics. He's an honorary Green Lantern Corps member, but his strength comes from a lantern created from the metal of a magical green meteor. He's been a major part of the history of both Earth 1 and Earth 2. Martin Nodell and Bill Finger developed the character, and he originally appeared in the 1940 comic book All-American Comics issue 16. Alan Scott was created after Nodell was inspired by characters from Norse, Greek, and Middle Eastern tales and myths, and wanted to create a mainstream entertainment character who fought evil with the help of a magical ring that granted him a variety of supernatural powers. Unlike the other Lanterns, Alan Scott's strength is derived from the Starheart, a mystical creature formerly imprisoned by the Guardians. The Starheart made its way to Earth, where it saved Alan from a train disaster in 1939, disguised as a lantern. Alan fashioned a ring from it at the Lantern's mental command, allowing him to access the Starheart's immense power. Alan took up the guise of Green Lantern, maybe subconsciously motivated by Starheart's history. Alan Scott quit railroad engineering to work for Apex Broadcasting Corporation, where he could receive first-hand information regarding criminal operations. He met Dolby Dickles, a taxi driver who went on to become his sidekick, and Irene Miller, his earliest love interest when he was there. Alan also co-founded the Justice Society of America, the first superhero squad in comic books, and played an essential role in numerous wartime fights. During World War II, the character's appeal started to diminish, coinciding with the collapse of the Golden Age of comic books, resulting in discontinuation. Following an 8-year hiatus, DC reintroduced Green Lantern as a sci-fi superhero named Hal Jordan in 1959. Eventually, DC returned to Alan Scott, establishing that he and Hal were Green Lanterns on 2 distinct parallel planets, with Alan on Earth 2 and Hal on Earth 1. Subsequent stories based on Earth 2 presented Alan as the father of the superheroes Jade and Obsidian, who possessed abilities similar to his own. In 1985, DC elected to reboot its internal continuity, uniting Earth 1 and Earth 2, and re-establishing Alan as the DC Universe's elder statesman, living alongside the more science fiction-oriented superheroes of the Green Lantern Corps. DC's New 52 established a new multiverse in 2011, featuring a young Earth 2 Alan, a homosexual man. With the 2016 DC Rebirth effort, the original version of Alan was brought back into mainstream continuity. In 2020, he came out to his children as homosexual, retroactively establishing this version of Alan as the first gay superhero. In his initial appearances, Scott's body would glow green or be showered in green light anytime he utilized his power, such as going through a wall or flying. He would also emit a beam of green light from his ring, which could dissolve metal, move items, shrink objects, and extinguish flames. Although the ring did have a significant weakness to wood, Alan was immune to any non-wooden weapon while he used it. He seldom utilized the ring as a weapon, preferring to fight with his hands like any other pulp adventure hero. Fun fact, Alan Scott is based out of Gotham City. That's right, since the spotlight on the Justice Society of America has varied and faded throughout the years, it's easy to lose track of the fact that the Golden Age Green Lantern has been stationed in Gotham City from his humble origins. In fact, because Batman's 1940s escapades have been removed from present continuity, Alan Scott is the city's very first superhero. That's pretty crazy, right?
No excuses and there's no place to hide. See, there's no pretend.
Hal Jordan. For the second time, DC Comics would go into the Golden Age top hat, take out a superhero name and abilities notion, and recreate the hero for the Silver Age in 1959. The first time was in 1956 when the comic company recreated the Golden Age notion of the Flash as Barry Allen instead of Jay Garrick. It was such a smashing success that 3 years later, in Showcase issue 22, the publisher tried again, this time with the character of Green Lantern. This time, the alterations were far more dramatic. The character preserved the green power ring, but practically everything else was changed. Alan Scott, the Golden Age Green Lantern, drew his power ring green energy from mysticism. Hal Jordan, the new Silver Age Green Lantern, gets his power ring energy from a sci-fi power cell developed by blue extraterrestrials, the Guardians of the Universe. Jordan wore a green, black, and white outfit. Scott wore crimson and green with a gorgeous black cape. Scott was a fresh-faced railroad engineer. Hal Jordan is a promising young jet pilot. Abin Sur gave Hal Jordan his ring and power battery. After crash landing on Earth, the red-skinned extraterrestrial who was the guardian of Space Sector 2418 summoned Jordan. In his final moments, he selected Jordan because of his penchant for demonstrating enormous will and the capacity to conquer fear. Hal Jordan would go on to become one of the founding members of the Justice League. As mentioned before, his abilities are derived from his power ring and battery, which, in the hands of someone capable of overcoming enormous fear, allows the user to channel their willpower into creating a wide range of spectacular structures. Hal Jordan utilizes this power to travel across space, make weapons, armors, and lasers, and build his Green Lantern suit, which protects his identity in his human life on Earth. Jordan also starred as a villain in the 1990s. The plot of Emerald Twilight sees Jordan, traumatized by the devastation of his home, Coast City, by the antagonist Mongol, assume the moniker Parallax and threaten to annihilate the cosmos. In the years that followed, DC Comics redeemed the character by making Jordan seek forgiveness for his acts as Parallax, and revealing that Parallax was a corrupted cosmic entity that seized control of Jordan's activities. Between his time as Parallax and his comeback to DC Comics as the good Green Lantern, the character also briefly appeared as the Spectre, a supernatural figure in DC Comics who serves as God's malevolent agent on Earth. Nowadays, he's the star of Grant Morrison's The Green Lantern, one of the best-selling DC series, in which it's revealed that Hal Jordan has a physical incarnation of his power ring, an artificial intelligence inside the ring called Penguwur, whom he encountered for the first time while he was inside the ring. Fun fact, in a 2017 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive comic book titled KFC Issue 3 Across the Universe, the Green Lantern and Colonel Sanders, yes, the brand ambassador and founder of KFC, collaborated. The plot featured Colonel Sanders and Hal Jordan in space, attempting to catch a thief who steals chicken sandwiches. Oh boy.
Yeah, you too.
So what did you end up doing with Sinestro?
Oh, don't worry about him.
Guy Gardner. Guy Gardner was actually the first candidate to wear Abin Sur's ring, yet because time was limited and Jordan was closer, he essentially won the lucky draw. Guy Gardner first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 2, Issue 59 in 1968. The Guardians revealed to Hal an alternate past in which Gardner was selected instead of him in that issue. Gardner was hit by a bus a few years later in Green Lantern Volume 2, Issue 87, and was gravely injured. This rendered Earth's backup lantern inoperable, requiring the Guardians to select a new backup lantern, Jon Stewart, about whom we'll talk in a sec. Gardner met and fell in love with Kari Limbo during his stay in rehab. Gardner would eventually get his chance to be the Green Lantern when Jordan would have to take some time off to restore his ring on Oa. Tragically, Gardner appeared to have disintegrated at the end due to a malfunctioning power battery. As a result, Hal Jordan flew in and consoled Limbo, believing Gardner was dead. The two had such strong affections for one another that they fell in love and almost got married, but the ceremony was called off when Gardner reached out from the Phantom Zone. After some chaos with General Zod, Jordan could finally save Gardner, only for Gardner to emerge from the Phantom Zone in a coma, in which he stayed for many years. It's all a bit overwhelming, I suppose, but don't worry, it gets easier. Gardner awoke from his coma during the Crisis on Infinite Earth storyline and was formally designated an Earth Green Lantern. Finally. However, he was a total jerk due to his brain injury and PTSD. Of course, he improves and becomes more charming with time, but his tale has only gotten more confusing. The most significant alteration occurred with the introduction of the New 52, when most of the preceding events were retconned. Guy Gardner's devotion to the Corps certainly defines him, yet the green ring is not the only ring he's ever worn. He was a Red Lantern, and also wore Sinestro's second Yellow Lantern ring at one point in time. He was given a Red Lantern ring for the first time because he became enraged after Kyle Rayner died during the events of Blackest Night. He donned one for the second time during the War of the Green Lanterns storyline. During the New 52, however, he joined the Red Lanterns to infiltrate them, eventually taking over the whole Corps before rejoining the Green Lantern Corps. Fun fact, strangely, Guy Gardner's days as a hero did not end after Hal Jordan demolished the central power battery in the Emerald Twilight story. He discovered a rare chalice of warrior water, and drinking from it unleashed powers inside of him that he was previously unaware of. He'd discover he was part extraterrestrial, descended from the Valdarians, and that his talents allowed him to shapeshift and transform sections of his body into weaponry. From then on, he referred to himself as Warrior, and remained in that capacity until he was awarded the Green Lantern ring and rejoined the Corps. Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart is an architect who was retconned into a veteran United States Marine from Detroit and was chosen by the Guardians as a standby Green Lantern to Hal Jordan after the previous backup, as we already know, Guy Gardner, was severely wounded after being hit by a bus while attempting to save a civilian. Stewart would obtain the ring in Green Lantern Volume 2, Issue 87 in 1971. The Guardians of the Universe had been watching Jon since he was a child, believing he could be a valuable member of the Corps. They dispatched a manhunter to the Ferris Air Plant, where Jon was stationed at the time, to put him to the test. Jon rushed into action without hesitating to confront the manhunter, and his valor earned him a Green Lantern ring. He rapidly learned how to use the ring and vanquished the manhunter. Jon was subsequently sent to Oa, where he met the Guardians, who praised him for his commitment to peace and readiness to fight for it. Despite common belief, Stewart was not DC's first black superhero. Mal Duncan, who joined the Teen Titans in 1970, is the recipient of this accolade. On the other hand, Stewart was unquestionably one of the most famous and essential recurrent black superheroes. He compelled Jordan and the readers to examine their own racial biases. His narratives frequently fearlessly confronted some of the most contentious political issues of the time. Stewart would still be second to Jordan's dazzling lantern light for over 15 years. When Jordan eventually gave up his ring, Stewart took his position in the Green Lantern Corps. During the following 20 years, he would not only become one of the Corps' most significant members, eventually heading it, but also the most well-known Lantern in popular culture. From 2001 until 2004, Jon Stewart starred as one of the main characters in the hit television cartoon series Justice League. He was also a significant character in the show's 2004 to 2006 sequel, Justice League Unlimited. Jon Stewart co-starred in the New 52 relaunch of the Green Lantern Corps with Guy Gardner in 2011, and became the title's only primary character from 2013 until the series' end in 2015. Jon is one of the Corps' most extraordinary members due to his unusual blend of military and architectural ability. Jon does not wear a tangible Green Lantern ring, unlike the other Green Lanterns. After being attacked by the Legion of Doom and a meeting with Sinestro, Jon gets a Green Lantern emblem branded on his finger, allowing his body to serve as a power ring, with his heart acting as the power battery. Another fact that separates him from the other Lanterns is that Jon Stewart never bothered with a disguise. After being presented to the Corps, Jon Stewart instantly discarded the uniform mask. He didn't believe he needed to conceal his identity from the public, and it became his trademark. Fun fact, even though Jon's character was retconned from an architect to a US Marine, his architectural abilities have been used multiple times in the past. He was instrumental in the construction of the JLA Watchtower and the Hall of Justice, as well as the rebuild of Coast City. That explains why his creations are the most sophisticated of any of the Green Lanterns. Kyle Rayner. The character of Kyle Rayner was created by writer Ron Marz and illustrator Darryl Banks, and first appeared in Green Lantern Volume 3, Issue 48 in 1994, as part of the Emerald Twilight narrative, wherein DC Comics substituted Green Lantern Hal Jordan with Rayner, who served as the sole Green Lantern for a long time until the late 1990s. Until the mid-2000s, he was DC's main Green Lantern. Around this time, he was also known as Ion. Kyle Rayner was a poor but skilled freelance comic book artist from North Hollywood who worked and lived in Los Angeles before acquiring a Green Lantern power ring. Kyle was reared as an only child by his Irish mom, as his dad left his mom when she was pregnant with Kyle. After Coast City was destroyed, Hal Jordan went wild. In an attempt to amass enough power to restore his home city and bring back his loved ones, he murdered most members of the Guardians of the Universe and the Green Lantern Corps. As a last-ditch attempt, the Guardian Ganthet arrived on Earth and presented Rayner with a power ring. As a result, the comic book artist became the universe's solitary Green Lantern. He had enormous shoes to step into and no one to coach him, yet Rayner was born to be a Lantern, and he quickly grasped the ring in ways his predecessors could never have dreamed of. He'd defeat Jordan, join the Justice League, become the very first human to master all 7 emotional wavelengths simultaneously, and so much more. While Kyle was relatively inexperienced at the beginning of his career, he was able to pick up the ins and outs of being a superhero very quickly due to the support of the Titans and Justice League members, which proved to be very helpful in assisting Kyle to adjust to his new job as the only surviving Lantern. Moreover, he is the first Green Lantern who you might describe as amorous. He always sees the best in people, frequently getting him into problems. Rayner has a pure heart and wears it on his sleeve. Unlike his 3 predecessors, he is less bound by the notion of will and may be more easily governed by other emotions because he was handpicked by Ganthet rather than the ring. Fun fact: Kyle's transformation into the rare and all-powerful White Lantern marked the next stage in his development as the most adaptable Lantern. After a fight with the Guardians caused him to doubt their authority, Kyle evolved into a White Lantern. He then started training with each champion of the corresponding corps of the emotional spectrum to face them when they reenacted the Rise of the Third Army story arc events. Simon Baz. Jeff Johns, the author of Green Lantern, and Doug Mahnke, the illustrator, came up with the character of Simon Baz. He is the first Green Lantern Corps member representing the Middle East. After DC's 2011 New 52 reboot, the character made his first appearance in 2012 as a part of the Rise of the Third Army Green Lantern narrative arc, taking the position of Silver Age hero Hal Jordan as the sector's Green Lantern for Earth. Baz, like Rayner, received his power ring by unconventional means. Simon Baz was a Lebanese immigrant kid who grew up in Michigan. As a young adult, Simon got involved in street racing and subsequently auto theft. After Simon is sacked from his job, he steals a vehicle out of desperation. Simon discovers a bomb in the stolen car while attempting to elude the cops. Simon drives the vehicle into the abandoned auto plant from where he was laid off, knowing the explosion would kill no one. The resultant explosion was deemed a terrorist act by the police, and Simon was arrested. When Simon was being interrogated, Sinestro and Hal Jordan's rings combined, resulting in a malfunctioning Green Lantern power ring that locates Simon and picks him as the new wielder, allowing him to escape incarceration. Eventually, he clears his name, assisted in Jordan's rescue from the Dead Zone, and even joined the Justice League of America. For unexplained reasons, Simon Baz has unlocked an incredibly uncommon power among Green Lanterns called the Emerald Sight, which enables a Green Lantern to see into the future. Fun fact: he is the only Green Lantern who wields a firearm. Simon spent most of his Green Lantern training studying how to operate the ring, but he always carried a handgun. This is because he had yet to fully trust the ring and wanted to employ a familiar weapon he could rely on if things became hairy. The person who ultimately convinced Simon to give up his handgun was Batman, and the gun is now stored at the GCPD under the command of Commissioner Gordon. Jessica Cruz. Jessica Cruz's name was first stated, and her right hand was featured briefly in a single panel in Green Lantern issue 20 in 2013. Her next appearance was in Justice League Volume 2, issue 30, when the Ring of Volthoom tracked her down, and she later gained her abilities in the following issue. Jessica Cruz is a Mexican-American Latina with dual citizenship. She witnesses the killings of her best pals while on a hiking vacation. She was able to flee, but it has left her with PTSD and frequently terrible anxiety. As a result, Cruz was recognized as a candidate by the Ring of Volthoom, which landed on her finger due to her profound fear. The ring, unlike its predecessors, pressed itself upon Jessica and seized control control of her body. She assaulted her hometown while under the Ring's power and was challenged by Doom Patrol in the Justice League. Eventually, she was able to resist Volthoom's control and become one of the first beings in centuries to do so, owing to an encouraging pep talk from The Flash, a helping hand from Cyborg, and a memorable encounter with Batman during the Darkseid War. She earns an official Green Lantern ring as a prize for her capacity to overcome immense fear by attempting to sacrifice herself to save Barry Allen. Jessica's distinctive constructs are gigantic, complicated structures resembling giant alien flowers in their organic form. She initially had significant difficulty with the ring, requiring a period of hard focus to build larger structures, but she overcame this problem while practicing with Simon Baz. This may be an exaggeration, but Cruz is maybe the Green Lantern who most fulfills what it means to be a Green Lantern. She is always attempting to conquer her agoraphobia and anxiety. She has to dig deeper than characters like Stewart or Jordan to find her bravery, but when she does, she becomes extremely powerful. Fun fact, Hal combined Jessica's power battery with Simon Baz's power battery, and for a time, the two couldn't charge their rings without each other. The two eventually learned to cooperate and got their lanterns back, although some love sentiments may have formed between them while doing so. Teen Lantern, Kelly Quintella. 11-year-old Kelly Quintella modified a gauntlet to access and use the abilities of a Green Lantern power battery without the Green Lantern Corps' knowledge. She is a part of the youthful superhero group Young Justice, which is committed to battling evil. Kelly doesn't have a ring with her. She only possesses the gauntlet with lantern power. She originally appeared in Young Justice Volume 3, Issue 1, and in Issue 6, we eventually learned of her past. She is an 11-year-old Bolivian girl from La Paz who received the gauntlet from an extraterrestrial she encountered in a junkyard. With time, she has formed a relationship with the gauntlet and won't let go. She came to Metropolis hoping to get an internship at the Hall of Justice. She encounters Jon Stewart after the Young Justice series, who advises her to undergo training. While the source of her abilities differs from that of her fellow Lanterns, Kelly's demonstration shows that she is no less powerful. Few Lanterns, let alone rookies, can claim to have launched a direct attack on Sinestro and his Lanterns and survived. She may ultimately get overpowered, but she holds the Yellow Lanterns at bay for far longer than anybody could have imagined, and she even draws Sinestro's notice. Teen Lantern's constructs also highlight her impressionability as a young hero. With her back to the wall, she makes hard-light versions of heroes she admires to assist her, whether it's Jon Stewart or her Young Justice allies. These heroes have evidently meant a lot to her and steered her towards being the force of good she desires, and she believes she can always rely on them. Fun fact, she's not the first Lantern to use the moniker of Teen Lantern, as that accolade also goes to Alan Scott, who utilized the Teen Lantern persona briefly during the Sins of Youth arc. Sojourner Mullein. Sojourner Mullein first appeared in Jamal Campbell and N.K. Jameson's 12-issue comic book series called Far Sector as the primary protagonist. Far Sector is a narrative set billions of light years away on an alien world riddled with turmoil and secret motives, spun out from DC's Young Animal label, which debuted in 2016. Mullein was born in Brooklyn. She is a former policeman with the New York Police Department. She had previously served in the military. She was stationed on the Dyson Sphere city in Juring, where the residents had opted to forego emotions. Because of a drug pandemic, sectors of the populace have begun to feel, which is one of the reasons a human is brought in as a space officer. And that's it for this video, but if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. This has been Corey Whelan for Marvelous Videos. Have a good one, be safe out there, and thanks for watching.